You're welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, Ghana is set to introduce fresh measures to deal with the plastic waste crisis facing the country. A major announcement on the establishment of what government calls the take-back system is expected tomorrow. Companies that package their products in plastic bottles and other containers will be required to initiate programs to retrieve the plastic containers after the contents have been used. Consumers will also be required to exercise a certain level of responsibility by not disposing them off in unapproved locations. Well, whether that has worked in the past or not, you already know the answer. They're part of a grand national action to deal with the plastic waste crisis facing the country. It is a major highlight of World Environment Day that will be observed tomorrow. The theme for tomorrow is beating plastic pollution. And we're asking you for your ideas on what you think is the best way of addressing the problem, which experts say could be a source of some cancers. Before that, let's take a look at what you need to know about the plastic waste minutes. Now, I have some graphics here and I'm going to go through them quickly before I start the conversation now. It is estimated that nearly 350 million tons of plastic are produced globally. Now, the plastic manufacturers in Ghana produce a minimum volume of 152,000 tons of polymer, 139,600 injection. In 2016, the European Food Safety Authority warned of an increased risk to human health and food safety, given the potential for microplastic pollution in edible tissues of commercial fish. I have in the studio here with me Anna Osei. Anna is an inclusive recycling manager with Fun Milk. Anna, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Also here in the studio with me is the Executive Director of the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, John Poorman. Sir, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's have a very quick discussion about this. So we're talking about, let me start with you representing governments, the
Yes.
EPA, because I mean, we know the problem, really. We can't kid ourselves as if we don't know. And even though the statistics exist, that reminds us of the extent of the problem. We know the problem, and we know what other countries have done about it. And it's such a shame that over the years, Ghana seems to, we seem to talk a lot. And we just keep recycling the problem in our speeches. We know the problem. EPA, really. Can you really pride yourself in having done anything about the situation?
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to be here to, deliberate on this issue. Yes, government has done quite a lot, in the past, but we think that there is still a lot to be done. You remember in 2015, the Minister of Environment, Science, Technology, and Innovation, came up with a directive requiring manufacturers of plastics and those who import plastics into the country, to adopt what they call the oxo-biodegradable plastics. And this was an attempt to try to encourage the use of biodegradable plastics in the country as a way of trying to minimize the pollution being caused by these plastics. And also, government also...
But then, did it work?
Well, that the uptake rate for that oxo-biodegradable is quite low. I think if we want to put a statistic to it, it is less than 50%, somewhere around 40, which we think is quite low. But, we are trying to see how that can be improved. But now what we are looking at is that we have a new law which has been in the system since 2016, which requires, companies who manufacture beverages to take back the containers that they use in packaging these beverages. And this law is what we call the Hazardous Electronic and Other Waste Control and Management Regulations, 2016, LI 2250. And the Section 9 of it requires that if you produce a beverage, you should set up a system, or if you don't want to set up your own system, you should get involved in another system that government will set up to take back all the containers that arise out of your business.
And this is a law that was passed in 2016, you say?
Yes.
2016.
Yes, and when you have a law like that, it needs to get a framework, get industry in the framework so that we can start implementing it. So this has been initiated. And on World Environment Day tomorrow, our minister will announce the details of this. So I want to leave that for him to do, but all the modalities for the implementation of the law have been put in place. And one of the good things about this particular section is that it allows the government working through the EPA to set up the recycling rate. So if you have a company, you are producing maybe 1 million empty bottles every year, the EPA together with you and other stakeholders will sit around and discuss, and then we agree that out of this 1 million, for the first year, we want you to take back maybe 50%, and then in subsequent years, you can improve upon it. Because currently, we can only boast of about 2% recycling rate of plastics in this country, which is woefully inadequate.
Because it does look as though there's no recycling at all. Let me bring Anna into this discussion. Anna, you're with a company that produces a lot of such waste. Interested to find out, and by the way, Anna is joining this conversation. The Fun Milk is a part of the Ghana Recycling Initiative by private enterprises. And so I'm interested to find what exactly this coalition, if I should call it, is doing about waste management and about the plastic you generate and how you can take them back. Is there anything you're doing now?
Yes, so thank you for the opportunity as well. As you mentioned, I'm here on behalf of GRIPE, which is the Ghana Recycling Initiative by Private Enterprises. And it's a coalition that was launched end of last year, after a full year of work, research, consulting with implementing partners, with the government, and also planning. And the idea of launching this coalition was really to join efforts in beating plastic pollution. We do believe that as plastic users and plastic manufacturers, we play an important role in this menace, but it's only with collaboration and by integrating efforts that we'll get somewhere. So we started, as I mentioned too, we launched last November 2017. We are 8 founding members. We have Fun Milk, we have Voltic, Guinness, Nestle, Unilever, Dow Chemical, Pizza Customs, and Coca-Cola. Okay,
this sounds like very rich companies who should be able to invest a lot into this recycling plant. So tell us the strategy. What is it?
Yeah, so we are talking about, yes, 8 big players in the country, but we're also expecting that others will join us, especially after tomorrow's conversation about the take-back system. As I said, yes, we do acknowledge that we are part of the problem, and by saying that we're also part of the solution. But if you look at the numbers, I can totally say that we do not represent more than 15% or 10% of total plastic generated. So even if we commit to take back everything, and we get there at some point with our collaboration with EPA and the Ministry of Environment, there is still going to be a lot of plastic.
A lot of plastic waste in the system. So what is the strategy?
What
with the launch of the coalition and with the thoughts and ideas that you have as companies, what is the plan? What is a plan to take back? I mean, on your own and at your meetings, I believe that these are things you've talked about. What have you resolved on, and what have you already started doing in terms of taking back the plastic waste?
So the strategy is that gradually we'll be taking back a percentage of what we put on the market, and in terms of equivalent volume. So let's say that the example that Mr. Pamang was mentioning, if a company puts on the market, let's say 1 million bottles, then it's collecting an equivalent volume of 50% or 20% of it, and then gradually increase this volume. 2 very concrete examples that we are doing since the launch of it in last November are related to 2 different parts of the value chain, because it's a problem. We know the problem. We know the solution, but it's a complex solution. You don't have to choose doing something or something else. So I'll give you an example. If we have more recycling companies in Ghana, but we are not working with education of the citizens, and people are still littering their waste on streets, the system will not be sustainable. On the other hand, if we work on educating people, but we don't have proper infrastructure in place, then it also won't work. So basically what GRIPE is focusing on is, so we have 3 pillars. The first one is education and awareness. So how can we actually work and talk with our citizens, focusing on schools and on churches or on community groups, to educate on the importance of segregating waste. But this alone will not be a solution. So we have 2 pilots. We're calling 2018 the year of piloting. because we do believe that we still have to test what's feasible or not, what's actually impactful or not.
So what are we piloting here?
We are piloting two things. So first of all, we are piloting a collection and sorting center in Tema New Town, which you should expect to be launched around July.
So what do they do? Collecting and what?
So it's basically, I don't know if many people know, but there are thousands of people working already in Accra or in Greater Accra in dire conditions. Those are the waste pickers. And they do it in dire conditions. They don't have proper living and working places. So we've been working with them in close relationship with the EPA and with the TMA to support them, so to create capacity, to train them, and also to build a proper infrastructure, because these people are currently working at dump sites, on streets. As I said, they
collect the plastics from the streets, and then they take it to Tema New Town, and then it is recycled there.
They'll take it to the sorting center, which is in Tema New Town, as you mentioned, where it's going to be segregated. One really important thing to recycle and to increase recycling rates is to ensure the quality of the material you pick. So if everything is mixed, or let's say, for example, if you pick it from the gutter, the waste will probably be dirty. And then it cannot be recycled,
so
or
they have to work
on
it.
So you have to work on quality. That's what the sorting center will be doing. It will be adding value to the materials before it can be sold to recycling companies.
So you said three pillars that the GRIPE is working on: educating and public awareness, and then you're creating the infrastructure, which is the second pillar, and then the third pillar is?
So the third pillar is actually also testing a second life solution for plastic. So what do we do after it's collected and after it's cleaned and after it's sold to recyclers? We do have many recyclers in Ghana already, but they're not recycling all types of plastics, especially the ones that our members, the members of GRIPE, produce.
Like the bottles?
For example, the PET bottles. That's one of the most challenging one, I would say, to recycle. So the pilot technology we're working with this year is how can we use it to make building blocks. So blocks to be used in construction. And we are still in the research phase of it. The kickoff of the project was April this year. And we are doing it in partnership with the BRRI, so the Building and Road Research Institute.
And you're doing this in collaboration with the Environmental Protection Agency. So the Environmental Protection Agency, I don't know. But how, I mean, these are giant companies who are generating waste. They've shown commitment to making sure that they get the waste back. How is the Environmental Protection Agency ensuring that you, for lack of a better word, compel them to do the right thing? And do we even have the infrastructure to make their work easier and to make their work such that we're able to get the results, the clean Accra that the president speaks about?
Yes, and that is why, you know, the Ministry of Environment, together with the EPA, we are coming up with a policy. You know, we want to take actions based on some framework. Because now it's very easy, you know, the former president, Mahama, at some point, indicated to the public that if we don't change the way we are managing plastics, you know, we have to go the Rwanda way by banning. Banning is an option, but we want to ban based on...
Speaking of banning, why did it not work the last time we tried? I'm wondering, why did it not work?
You know, you see, the banning that we wanted to ban certain categories of the plastic. But, you know, banning has to be done by a legislative instrument or by an act of parliament, which is why we want to do the policy so that it will provide a framework for us to see what we should ban. There are certain uses of plastic that, by and large, we think that we have to, you know, take the very hard decisions. You know, we use plastics to wrap toilet rolls. You know, something which is made of paper, we have to use plastic to wrap it. Why should that be? Some of those uses are unnecessary. You know, you go to the shopping center, and then you come up with about 3 or 4, you know, carrier bags for a few items that you have bought. Maybe spending less than 100 Ghana cedis to come up with 5.
Like I said, we know the problem, really.
So those ones,
we know the problem. In the UK, for example, when you go to a shopping mall and you buy stuff, you have to pay for plastic. Exactly. It's not much, but the whole idea of paying,
that's right.
It sort of prevents people from you know, going to take. So you go home, you keep the plastic bag or whatever bag you have, so that next time you can bring it.
Yes.
So, but policy-wise, we don't seem to be lacking policy-wise. It's more. It seems to be more of an implementation problem, which is where the EPA seems to be failing.
No, in fact, for the area of plastics, we have to have a framework, because all what we have been working with in terms of this plastic, as I said, was a directive in 2015 by the minister, and the minister by law has got that power, to do a directive which we are working with. But in terms of going further to do all this take all these critical decisions, to ban, we need to go for a legislation. And this is why the policy
and that's where the journey becomes very long and people get exhausted. Let me take you to Facebook and find out what people are saying. A lot of you have been commenting on this matter. Maybe you may be as frustrated as I am with the EPA. Maybe not. But let's see. The question is, what should we do as a country to control the plastic waste crisis? And let me quickly go through some of the comments. Very soon I'll also be telling you about how plastic waste affects human and marine life, just so you know. Pakwesi says, I think the producers of the products in plastics should be made to get their rubbers off the street on all our water bodies. As to how they do it, I care less, but they should be sanctioned if found liable. Not a single producer has waste bins in our communities or has ever done something about the situation. I'll take the second comment, but this is something that I want Anna to comment on. Anna, that sounds like a very direct message to you and your members. They say that they've not seen, we've seen the AMA large bins and etc., but you are the producer of such waste. We've not really seen you do any practical. I understand all the research that's going on and the consultations that's going on, but many years, I've been taking fan milk since I was a baby. Many years you've been here in this country. What is it that you have done practically about the situation?
So I think in the past, and I'm here, I can speak on behalf of Farm Milk, but I can also ensure that my colleagues from GRIPE, they have the same experience. They've been focusing more on specific places. So let's say schools, for example. I can give you Farm Milk's example. We're working with an NGO called NASBA, that was working closely with schools before, and we were providing them with bins, and we are talking about education. However, we also found out that that's not enough to solve the problem. We need more than this. It's not only by donating bins that we are going to find a solution to plastic waste. And that's why we decided to launch GRIPE. You haven't seen much because it has recently been launched, but please keep posted for that. And we do think that the take-back system that is going to be announced tomorrow is a laudable initiative. And again, we need other companies to embark on this with us as well. So if they would like to join GRIPE, they
won't have to. I'll find out from the EPA whether there's a plan to make sure that all the other companies come on board and that the nation actually compels them to come on board, because it is a necessity. But I'll come to you, sir. Let me just quickly go through some of the comments here. Ohineba Yawopon says they should not ban the plastic, but rather add some amount to the price of both bottle and sachet water when after. Look, we can't increase any sachet water, okay? It's 20 pesos and people already have issues buying it, okay? So they should ban, not ban the plastic, but rather add some amount to both prices of bottle and sachet water. Then after drinking your water, you send the bottle and sachet plastic for your change. Okay, well, at some pick points for that no one will leave his or her change. So if it's more expensive and you can take the bottle back and get your change, I don't know, it sounds quite complicated, but well. Jackson Ahodokbo says people are now blaming government and policymakers. What about you? Did you ever try to educate people near you to dispose waste properly? Yes, we did. At times I had to ask a moving vehicle to stop and reverse because someone threw something out of the window, and I make sure whatever you threw out, you picked it up. Stop the blame game and be your brother's keeper. I wish it was that simple. Unfortunately, it isn't. Wahab Suhini says, I think plastic waste should be banned. This is very simple. Rwanda is one of the cleanest places in the world, not just Africa. And it all stems from the fact that the government made moves to ban plastic. I don't think this is difficult. Akbalu Akba says, generally speaking, it is easier to recycle cardboard than plastic. Plus, paper products tend to biodegrade more easily without adding a lot of weight to the product, the way glass or aluminium can. So when you have a choice, pick pasta in the box instead of pasta in a bag, or detergent in a box instead of the bottle. Even better would be to check the companies that source their cardboard sustainably or have a strong stance on deforestation. That sounds very Western. They do that in the Western world, but in Ghana, I think it's going to take us a while. But we'll still take steps towards getting there. Nana Miriam says, you can create another industry with jobs in the millions just from recycling and making use of the products differently. And I'll come back to the comments, but let me come back to you, Mr. Poaman, about bringing other companies on board. Yeah. Gripe is setting an example, but like she's saying, they can do it. But if they take the percentage of waste that they put in, if they take that out, there will still be a lot of plastic waste. How is the EPA compelling other companies producing waste in this country to join in this?
The other companies will not have a choice, because under the take-back system, it is law. And the take-back requires that you set up your own system like Gripe are doing, or if you can, then government will set up a take-back system and you will be forced to join it. Okay. And the gentleman who made the point about putting some amount on the container, that's what the take-back system is about. Okay. They put about 2 pesos or something of the sort on the price of the bottle, so that when you return that bottle, you get 2 pesos. It encourages people to return them, and that improves the collection. Because recycling industries can only get benefit if they get this material, as she said, in a neat form.
But then when you're talking about recycling, the end of the material, okay. So in my house, I keep my bottles or whatever separately, but I keep them in the thought that I'll find somebody. There are ladies who usually come collecting them, and I think they go sell it, in the hope that I'll find somebody who wants it to give to them. So I have to now go and look for somebody who wants it to give to them. So I'm putting in an effort to separate my waste and keep the bottles, but I still have to put in that effort of finding somebody. There isn't designated areas, where you can just pick it up, you just send it, and then they will use it or recycle it.
Because you see, for the sachet, that's what you call the flexible plastics. There is a good, the recycling industry in Ghana is quite, well established, even though it's not yet to the level that we want. But it's the PET that is a problem, and we are trying to make it, feasible for companies to come and invest in recycling the PET.
Okay, so I'm going to give you this opportunity, sir, to speak to companies that you want to come on board. Not that they're going to have to wait for you to compel them to join, but if you have any words for these companies that you're expecting to join, for example, Gripe and in their initiative, what would you tell them? We
are telling them that it is not going to be an option for them to set up a collection system. They have to do it by Section 9 of LI 2250, and tomorrow the minister will make that very clear. We want to have a time frame for them that everybody can come on board, because with the LI 2250, you'll be forced to agree to some recycling rates. And
so what is the timeline? Sorry, what's the timeline?
We want everybody to come on board. But when we met them, we have had preliminary discussions with them on the operationalization of the regulation. And we are thinking that everybody should fall in line. By the end of this year, we should start implementing the law, so that next year we can get rid of these PET bottles from the country. Okay. And there are companies who are already very interested. They have data about the number of bottles that we are generating in Ghana, which are not being collected. And there are so many very good products that can be made out of PET, including even textiles that people are wearing, and also material
and people are looking for jobs. Like one of the commenters said, people are looking for jobs. We really run out of time, but let me quickly finish take a few more comments, and then I'll come to you, Anna, for your final words. Papa K from Pong says, we've done what is needful of us as citizens of a country. It's up to the policymakers to fulfill their part. We pay our taxes. We pay monthly bills for our refuse to be collected on, and all that is expected of us. What are the policymakers doing? Well, the EPA says in collaboration with the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, they're launching the take-back system tomorrow. We'll see what's in that policy, and really, most of the time, and we've seen that in Ghana over and over again, it's not about the policy, it's about the implementation, really. Sidwaya Kabori says, ban production, okay, ban its production and usage, period. We can go for alternative like paper bags, plates, and cups, as well as inculcate the habit of using bottles. Dinah Elisha, and let me just take I'm going to make this my very final 3 comments. Dinah Elisha says town council people should come and every household should get dustbin, because if one person is doing good and some refuse to do good, it's bad. Okay. Promise says all these will be of the past when we get rid of these corrupted politicians. They are destroying the country with their deeds. And Inshura Bakwejo says we need recycling companies to reduce the plastic waste in the country, and that's where I end the comments. And that's a very important point you make. We need recycling companies to deal with, because that's the end of the product anyway. If there isn't any company that's recycling the product, you will still segregate your waste, you will still do all the things that you need to do, but it will still end up either in our rivers or in places where it creates sicknesses for other people. Anna, you wanted some, you have some final words?
Sure, yeah. I would like to say that I agree with you when you say that it's not only a matter of policy making, but it's rather also a matter of implementation. Yeah. And that's exactly why we decided to launch GRIPE under the AGI, the Association of Ghana Industries. I think you started the interview asking me about what have we done for the past years. And even though we had our own initiatives and they were not all together. So they were not that strong, I would say, we have also been paying some environmental taxes that were supposed to be used for establishing these things in the past government. And we haven't seen much usage of that tax.
But I guess right that's what the one of the texters, one of the those on Facebook said, the politicians are corrupted. So where did all the money go? I mean, like she's saying, they're paying taxes, and I'm sure that all the other companies in GRIPE, all the other companies who have enjoyed, they've all paid taxes. And I'm sure it comes to the coffers of the EPA. You've squandered all?
No, the plastic levy is being lodged at the Ministry of Finance. You know, there was there was an amendment to the custom tariff so that they can collect some taxes on plastic materials so that they can use that to do plastic programs. But the governance mechanism for actually getting the money out of Ministry of Finance was not put in place. The responsibility was given to Ministry of Local Government at the time when EPA was under the Ministry of Local Government. Now we have come out to the Ministry of Environment, and it is now our minister who has to work with his colleague at the Ministry of Local Government, you know, to get the money. To get the money. So
but
that money has not been chopped.
You have even a plan for how to use the money?
We have a plan, because the law even gave the framework. Okay. It should be used for promoting biodegradable plastics and also for recycling and creating awareness, you know, doing collection system. All what we are trying to do in the LI 2250.
Okay. Which you are launching tomorrow. Yes. So tomorrow will be another day for you. Anna, you started something. I want you to wrap up quickly so we can move on and wrap up this entire discussion.
And my point is that we do think that with the take-back system, we can jointly work together, the government and the private enterprises, to establish this. And I would just like to again invite other companies to join this laudable initiative, be it with the Ministry of Environment, with EPA, or through GRIPE. GRIPE is setting up a scheme which could help. That's an option. But I think, as Mr. Pamang was saying, the other companies will not have an option.
Will not have an option.
And we are under the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, so they can reach out to AGI to get in contact with us.
Okay. So if you are a responsible company in this country and you care about this country as much as you care about making profits, you should look at joining this group so we can do something about the wastage. It's just too much. It is just too much, really, the waste problem. And you see, we've been talking about it for so many minutes. I just don't personally feel that we've exhausted it, but we just don't have time. It's like the problem is so, I don't know, it's deeply rooted, but we have to deal with it one way or the other. Thank you so much for coming, ladies and gentlemen. I've had in the studio Anna Osei. Is that correct?
Osei.
Osei. Anna Osei. Anna is with the Ghana Recycling Initiative by Private Enterprises, GRIPE, but she is with Fund Milk. Also here in the studio with me was the acting executive director of Environmental Protection Agency, John Pamang. Tomorrow, the EPA, in collaboration with the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovations, will be launching the Beat Plastic Pollution, World Environment Day celebration that will be held at the College of Physicians and Surgeons in Accra, and we believe that the conversation will continue then. Well, other countries have done it. Why can't we? Thank you so much for coming once again.
Thank you.